Hello and welcome to the Stanley Parable. I'm going to be playing through just a little snippet of the game for you because I don't want to spoil too much. From a couple of my friends have been playing it like non-stop, and I really wanted to play it, but I thought I'd do a little blind intro bit for you. From what I understand, I'm just going to do the main story, alright, and one other, and then I'm going to stop the recording and do the rest myself. It's a game of stories, I guess. You follow the directions or you don't follow the directions. It's up to you, and just see what happens, I guess. We'll just dive into it. Let's go. Is never the end. Is never the end. Is never the end. Is never That's confusing. Well, yes. So this is the Stanley Parable. I've not played it yet, but to set the tone a bit, I'll tell you that while I was fiddling around in the options, I saw there was an achievement option, enabled and disabled. I clicked it a couple of times to see what the point was, and I got an achievement to turn off the achievements. So yeah, that kind of sets the tone for the game a bit, I think, there. Oh, here we go. Come on. No. No. Alright, I'll try not to talk over the narrative much, but from what I understand, there's quite a bit of it. So we'll see. Come on. Here we go.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
Oh, good. Stanley
And
was
then
happy.
one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Here we go. So yeah, I've got up from my desk and I'm gonna follow what he says and step out my office.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
I like work. I just hate my boss, okay? Seems about standard for an office. No, let's just follow his orders. We're going straight to the meeting office. I'm guessing it's this way. I mean, it's the only way to go.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Okay, apparently we enter the door on the left. Let's just go with it. See where we end up. Ooh, a whiteboard.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Boss's office, okay? The future was yesterday, tomorrow is now. Well, excuse me, that's kind of confusing. Synergized core value expenditure. Whatever. Let's just go to the boss's office.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Let's go up. And up. And up. Here we go. Ooh, fancy. I likey. Executive bathroom, that's not where we're going. Ah, this looks like the boss's office.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Dear. Okay, let's follow this. 2, 8, 4, 5.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing.
Ah.
He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Okay. Let's have a look. Ah, there's a big lift going down. Big red button. Press that. And down we go. Where to? I do not know. Oh, we're loading again. Yeah, so, as you can tell, there's this narrator going around just telling you what you did. Right, yeah, seems simple enough. But there were other choices I could have made, although...
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Escape! No, we're following what he says, the Mind Control Facility. Big button, I think. Looks like a button. Yes, it's a button. Let's press the button.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Lots of numbers. Okay, not reading all those. This is a little bit evil and ominous. Okay, press the button.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Ooh, evil and sinister. Nothing on these tables. Let's just follow it. And another button. Big surprise.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Apparently so.
No.
No?
He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Utterly
But
blind.
here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Assuming it's this way, so let's go. See what we find. Awaiting input. On, off. Well, screen goes black.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
So pretty. Freedom.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Yay. Ah, I think that's the end already, possibly. Don't know if there's any more. But of course, as we have learnt, the end is never the end. And so it's loading. And I'm back in my office. Achievement get beat the game. Yay. But this time we're going to go through and
all of his
do
co-workers
something
were
different.
gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Well, I don't
No
think
matter
there's
how
many
hard Stanley
choices
looked,
here.
he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Head straight to that meeting room, eh? Because that was where the first choice
When
was.
Stanley
Here,
came
yes.
to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Well, that's what you said. So let's go right.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Just to admire it. Alright then, let's see. Can't open these doors now. Oh, mouse playing up a bit. Ah, here we go. Oh, this is nice.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Okay, moving
But
on.
eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
No. Nope, nope, no. Going this way.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Oh dear. Do not lie. If you are lying right now, stop. Okay? I don't think I was lying. What's this thing? Do not jump from the cargo lift while it is in motion. Will cause death. What about while it's not in motion? Will I survive then? Penalty for jumping off the cargo lift, $5,000. Whee!
But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Whoops. Oh my. Well, there you go then. Yes. This is a game filled with secrets and
Even
little
now,
things.
Stanley's office was a distant memory. What did it look like? There was a computer, perhaps, and a painting. Was it a painting or a photo? He could no longer recall.
Oh dear. So yeah, this is what this game
came to a
is.
set of two opens. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
I've already got myself
Perhaps
killed.
he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Just do a quick run to something else. Let's find a third ending of some sort.
This room.
So let's go to the way we went before and not die this time.
Stanley took the first
and see what
open door
happens
on
that
his
way.
left.
And hopefully
Stanley was so bad at following
be a slightly
directions,
better
it's
ending
incredible he wasn't 5 years ago.
than my own death. Oh, that's
Look,
fantastic.
Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
Ooh, for her.
This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
Can I go through this door? No. This is the only way then. Oh, my mouse. I really need to sort that out. Ooh.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
Shall we? Shan't we? Shall we? Shan't we? Ah, fine, I'll do it. And the screen's gone white this time.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
Could go that way. Alright, we'll go inside.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Press B on your keyboard, oh god.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
God.
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Press 8.
But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
Press E to watch TV. Now, what happens if I press a different key? Oh, nothing. No, I'm disappointed.
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
Okay.
So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either.
So I'm still in my
At
office,
last,
is that what
choice.
this is saying?
It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. and down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions, and down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
Tell your kids a
It
story.
was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Ooh, pressing it, sod it.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself? I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
Oh dear. That's a little bit morbid. Oh dear me. And we're back at the start again. So yes, you see how this goes. One story into the next, and you just keep replaying it with loads of different outcomes, and hilarity ensues. Alright, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.